Hey, welcome back. My name is Ima Hogg, and my puppy over there on the floor is Babe Wolf. And today we're discussing Season 2, Episode 3, The Price of Polygamy. Kody and Janelle plan a private camping trip that results in a discussion about family finances. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the podcast, Sister Lives, a red flag rewatch. This is the podcast for disenchanted fans of Sister Wives. Fans who fell in love with the Brown family, watched their precious kids grow up, and became enchanted with all the love, only to be told it was all a lie. Nothing was as it seemed. We were bamboozled, fooled, duped, tricked, conned, swindled, hoodwinked. What did we miss? Where did it go wrong? Come help me find out as we watch from the beginning. Kody says Janelle and I are going camping for her birthday. We need a little time away, and so we're going down to Arches National Park, which is 4 hours away. And they drove, and they set up a tent, and they stayed one day, and they came home. Apparently, that's how they do things. But Janelle says, in our big family with multiple wives, it's important that we nourish each relationship, so time alone just makes sense. It allows you time to connect as a couple. It's just important to be able to move away from everything else and reconnect to each other. So Kody walks in the room, and I guess Janelle doesn't immediately say hello because she goes, "Oh, sorry. Hi, how are you?" And you notice during the course of the next few minutes, his shirt changes 3 times. How often does this man change his shirts? He was wearing a plain blue shirt when he came home. He's standing in the closet packing, and he's wearing an Ed Hardy shirt. And then when he comes out and they're about to pack up the car, he's wearing a maroon shirt. Plus, he's holding 2 more shirts on hangers, a blue striped shirt and an orange shirt. So that's 5 shirts that he has within his vicinity. And I hope that when he takes these shirts off that he just hangs them back up. But my fear is that he just throws them in the hamper and Christine has to iron them all again. Can you see all those button-down shirts and ironing those shirts? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of ironing. It may just be the way that it was taped. How did he go from a plain blue shirt to an Ed Hardy shirt to a maroon shirt all within the first few minutes of the show? Kody says every year Janelle and I will have at least 2 times where we try and get away from the rest of the family for a little time together. And notes to self, Melanie says that generally birthdays and anniversaries are when husbands and wives try to do things alone. And then he says that he hasn't even thought about getting ready. He hadn't even packed, so he's going to go get packed. And Janelle looks at him and says, "Okay, just be fast, be focused." Because she knows that his ADHD self is just going to flit all over and not pack and be focused so they can get down there and get the tent up and get everything done. Kody's like, "Well, what do I wear?" And so I would feel like if I'm going on a camping trip, I'm going to put on like a comfortable shirt, comfortable pair of pants, like hiking pants or leggings or something. But no, this man's going to wear a button-down shirt and everything. But Janelle says we're going to go on a road trip overnight, go down to Arches National Park and stay the night and hike around. And so it's kind of fun to go away and just sort of reconnect. And it shows them packing. Janelle says, "Okay, we got to get all this bedding." Kody says, "Oh, geez, no. Why aren't these rolled up? We need to roll these up. These are sleeping bags." And Janelle said, "Well, because they don't zip anymore." And Kody goes, "Well, we're going to buy 2 sleeping bags on the way." And Janelle said, "No, I'm not spending the money for that. We're not doing that." And Kody says, "Well, I can't sleep." Janelle says, "No, we're just going to lay him flat." Kody says, "But it's camping. You got to be able to zip them together." Janelle says, "I'm okay with not zipping them together. I don't want to spend the money. I'm just not going to spend all that money." She's got quilts and she's got some sleeping bags. She's got them neatly folded. And Kody has done unfolded one of them. And he's like, "We got to roll these up." She goes, "Well, they don't roll. They don't zip." He just walks out of the room after he has unfolded her blanket that she has folded, and he just leaves. He's like, "Well, fine, 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 fine." So Janelle has to go back over there, refold her stuff, and then carry all of those blankets out by herself. And the thing is they have a blow-up mattress. Why do they need sleeping bags? They basically have a bed. So why do they need sleeping bags? Um, his tolerance for inconvenience is very low. Anytime he's inconvenienced, he just wants to buy his way out of it, and he just leaves. He's bothered very quickly. So I think what his main worry is the fact that this won't fit in his Lexus. and they're taking the Lexus to go camping, which makes all the sense in the world. And then he tells Janelle, I'm not taking the pillows. We got smaller pillows. Janelle's like, okay. Janelle says, Kody wants to solve everything really quickly. Let's just go to the store and buy it. And I'm like, no, if we can make good with what we have on hand, let's do that. So it's been a constant source of friction in our marriage. And so it shows her picking up the blankets and carrying them out. Sleeping bags are not cheap. He's wanting to go buy 2 of them. And she's already made the statement that they have finite resources. And so this is what makes me think that Janelle is the one holding this family together, because that didn't even cross his mind, the fact that he wants to go spend $50, $60 on sleeping bags. And she's like, no, that's stupid. We're not doing that. We can't afford that. So if she's the one that's got her finger on the budget, then I don't think that he's the one holding this family together. What makes me think about is I just got through season 20, episode 14, Sister Wives. I just got through covering that. And Kody was talking about during this time period that we're talking about right now, that sometimes the pecking order would come up in among the wives. And he says that he just didn't deal with it. He just went to work because he had to pay the mortgage. And that's all he cared about, was getting the bills paid. And it tells me here that that's not the case, that Janelle was the one more concerned about paying the mortgage and getting the bills paid. So him saying that in season 20, that just makes me think about that he didn't take care of the pecking order of the wives because he had bigger concerns, and he did not. This shows you right here that he did not. Kody says, the number one question that I am asked above all other questions is, how can you afford that size of a family? Meri says, it's just really a situation where we all work together. Kody says, I hate to say it's communal, but it's very socialistic. We all use our own talents and everybody works together. And it shows them all eating outside. And if you look over in the right-hand corner, there's wrestling mats, old wrestling mats. They're all rolled up and kind of shoved under the porch area. But you can see those wrestling mats. And you see the Fajita Cantina sign that's on the shed in the backyard, because Kody used to sell signs. And I have this theory. I've told y'all my theory before. When he went to Flagstaff, that waiter talked about how Kody would come in and stay for hours in Salsa Brava in Flagstaff and just sit in the back booth, and he would just eat beans and drink lemon water all day long, looking at his computer, looking at his phone, and they just wouldn't bother him. He sold signs, and he's got that Fajita Cantina sign. I wonder if he didn't do that in Lehigh, is find some restaurant, eat beans and drink lemon water all day long. I'm sure they were probably just throwing that sign away and he just got it before they threw it away. But I really wonder if he didn't do that in Lehigh, sit in that booth for hours. Janelle says, when Robyn came up and she was looking for work and didn't have work, there was a little bit of an adjustment there from my perspective. Like, okay, so it's got to go even further. Now the resources that we have, which are somewhat finite, had to go even further. Steen says, but I think that right off we established that Robyn coming into the family was huge for me because I was so stressed. She took over some of the responsibility and it was really helpful for me. This whole Robyn can't find a job thing, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a heartbeat, because Christine was working with 5 kids and 9 months pregnant. She found a job. She was working for the census company, and she had other jobs where she worked for a museum, and she did all kind of little odd jobs. There's no reason why Robyn couldn't have found a job. She just didn't want a job. That was all that was. Robyn says, coming into the family, it's like you sort of going through this rite of passage, trying to prove yourself. And at the same time, there's this part of me that just wants to go and do some really great job and contribute vast amounts of money and go, here, look, see what I did. I'm valuable to this family right now. They've been going through a lot of emotions about this whole thing, and me disrupting their lives somehow be worthwhile enough that that disruption is worth it to them. And her doing this, she does these phrases. Sister Wives Go to Therapy says these phrases that she used, like get this great job and contribute these vast amounts of money. Those are called quantifying words. And people use that to minimize problems, to make it seem like the problem's not that big. Like if you ever get into a fight with your spouse and they say, well, you always do this and you never do this, those are large quantifying words and they're using that to talk about the problem. When she says contributing vast amounts of money, that's a quantifying word. And Sister Wives Go to Therapy says that she's trying to minimize the problem, that it's a subtle form of manipulation, which I believe. And she's making herself a victim here, which she loves to make herself a victim. She loves to turn situations around to where everybody needs to cater to her because she's the one that needs it most. Sister Wives Go to Therapy is a fairly new podcast, but I like listening to it. She's a therapist. But yeah, if you're in arguments with somebody and they use those large quantifying words like always, never, they're trying to minimize your side of the problem. That's what they're doing. Kody says, currently Robyn and Christine are staying at home and my income covers them. Sometimes Janelle will throw in for groceries and stuff. And Meri says, Janelle and Kody make the bulk of the money. They just do. My job doesn't pay as much, so I've just got some of the smaller bills and I just know to take care of that. And Janelle says, so Meri and Christine and Robyn kind of have their own bills and then Kody and I coordinate getting the mortgage and the utilities paid. And then we all sort of work together as a family to pay the rest of it. It shows them outside and Christine has decorated these huge marshmallows. Some of the marshmallows are covered in caramel, some of them are covered in nuts, and the marshmallows are on a stick. That looks really good. That's fun. That's not really an expensive snack. Everybody loved her so much because she liked to do fun stuff like that. So can you imagine as a kid, somebody coming out and serving you a humongous marshmallow on a stick covered in caramel? I mean, that would create like a core memory for me. Like, look at that. I thought that was really nice. And it says currently Robyn and Christine are staying home. They are both on food stamps. And if you notice, Christine is the one that's really buying food for the whole family. She buys in bulk. She maintains that food storage pantry that they have. And she says, I was trying to keep the budget at $300. And I think that's how much she gets a month to feed the family. She's worried about feeding the whole family. But if you go over to Robyn's house, if you look in her refrigerator, she has name brand food. She's got name brand cereal. She has cream cheese in tiny little buckets. The thing that I noticed is she had name brand thinly sliced deli meat. That is a real luxury, and she had that in her house. So she's using her food stamps to buy her family food, but she's buying name brand, prepackaged, good food. Christine's over here trying to make $300 stretch to feed 21 people. They're not really doing the same. Christine is feeding Robyn's kids too. She's feeding Janelle's kids. Leon comes down and eats all the time. Logan and Hunter are probably in her kitchen all the time. So she's feeding everybody, but you don't see Robyn using her food stamps to help feed everybody. And Robyn had food stamps all the way up until Las Vegas when they built those 4 houses in the cul-de-sac. She had food stamps all the way up until then. There was some documentation on that Without a Crystal Ball pulled up. And Without a Crystal Ball, I've told y'all some of the stuff she does is kind of sensational. She's got some journalism experience and she does pull up some documents that really prove some things. So I know for a fact Christine is using her food stamp money to feed everybody, but Robyn is just feeding herself and her kids. And probably Kody going over there thinking, oh, wow, deli meat. Woo! I couldn't get over that deli meat. I mean, good God. I think that Janelle and Kody, they do pay the mortgage and they pay the utilities. And I'm sure they've got some smaller bills. And Meri says that she'll pay them. But I think Meri was kind of coasting along too. She's kind of like a semi-Robyn almost, because I don't know that she even worked full time. It shows them sitting at the table and they're talking about what bills they're going to pay. Kody's pointing at some bills like, have you paid this and have you paid this? And he's checking the time on his big ass watch that he's got. And he's wearing a Letterman jacket. And what that is, a Schwann's winning season jacket. I looked it up. And he must have worked for Schwann's at one time. He's got a jacket that he earned from Schwann's. And Kody points at a bill and he says, has this been paid yet? Janelle says, no, we have money set aside. I just need to get it paid. And then he looks at his big watch and he leaves. And Kody says, so there's 16 kids. We have to prioritize where the money goes. And Janelle says, I mean, we meet all our basic needs. Yeah, I mean, even for extra things like braces. And Kody says, or the squeakiest wheel gets the grease. I mean, a kid comes up to me and says, Dad, I need new shoes. I go get him new shoes. And Janelle says, see, Whereas in my family, I have to kind of keep more track because I'm sorry, Madison would have me buying something every single paycheck for her. So I do think the moms kind of took care of their own budget and their own kids' needs. And Janelle and Kody just kind of covered the whole house, but each individual family took care of their own kids. And Christine says Aspen would be the same way. And so finally, I just had a hard time with her. And I'm like, look, I have a budget, and this week it's not your turn. I'm not getting anything for you this week. And they're kind of throwing Aspen and Madison under the bus, but I know what it's like to have a teenage girl. They always kind of want something. That does make sense, but they didn't have to throw them under that bus. But Kody says that must be when they come to me. Meri says I have one child. She gets whatever she wants whenever she wants it, which how is that fair when Janelle is paying for the whole house and her family, and you're just sitting there paying for your one child and giving her whatever she wants whenever she wants it? And then she laughs and she goes, yeah, that's a lie. I don't believe that's a lie. I believe Leon got whatever they wanted. Kody says, that's one thing I gotta say is Mariah doesn't pester me nearly like the other kids do. Janelle says, I'm always like paying the bills one month thinking, wow, I wonder how I'm gonna pay them next month. It always works out, but there's a lot of stress involved with trying to make sure everything gets paid. It shows Kody, he's packing up his car and he's cramming everything into this tiny Lexus. I don't know why they're taking this Lexus. Cody's like, so we're taking this big quilt camping. And Janelle says, yeah, you'll be really glad when it's cold tonight. And so he finally shuts the back of the Lexus and they sit down, and then Kody immediately stands up and runs in the house. And Janelle says, as far as like how much time it takes Kody to get ready to go somewhere, it boggles my mind. Kody will go in and say goodbye to everybody, which is awesome, but it takes a long time. Kody goes in and he kisses Meri. Meri says, yes, kiss me always on the lips, a real kiss. And he's going in to say goodbye to Christine. And if you notice, Christine is changing truly on the bed, changing her diaper. And Kody doesn't even get into the doorway, sees that that's what's happening, immediately turns around. And he says, bye, Christine. And he won't even go in and tell her bye because she's changing a diaper. And Christine laughs, but I really think this is how he was. Remember when Christine said that he's changed a diaper maybe 10 times in his entire life? He just did not have anything to do with that. He wouldn't even tell her bye. Wouldn't even go in there and kiss her bye because she was changing a diaper. If you can't handle that, that's pretty pathetic. I would have my feelings hurt if you're not going to kiss me bye because I'm changing the baby's diaper. I didn't like that. And it shows Gabe, and he's jumping on a pogo stick, and he says, look, Mom, no hands, and then falls to the ground. It is hilarious. Janelle says, are you all right? They're driving out there, and Janelle says, check it out. This is a nice place. They're talking about where they're going to put up their tent. Janelle's wearing a football hoodie. Hunter plays football. She's got one of his team logo shirts. Cody's like, well, how do we put up this tent? Janelle said, I don't know. I relearn every year. And Kody says, well, where are the directions? She says, there's no directions. Janelle says, so it's nice that this is a quiet area. We will get away for an overnight stay. And it's also really awesome that while I was gone, my kids were taken care of. And Meri, Christine, and Robyn were kind of holding down the fort. And Kody says it's important that Robyn and Christine stay home right now, and they're working really hard at that. And Christine says, the way I bring money into the family is because I save the family money by really watching what I shop for, by buying in bulk, by canning. That's how I can help out financially with the family, which is true. If she can feed and care for kids with as little money as possible, that is saving a ton of money. And it shows her in the checkout, and it was pretty impressive. She says, my goal was $300, and it was $300 exactly. She says, I have experience shopping skills. And she goes, oh, wait, I have coupons. And she pulls out a wad of coupons out of her pocket, which is funny. Story time. I used to be back in the day. Remember when they used to have extreme couponer shows? I love that stuff. I would order the coupons that would correspond with the sales at my current grocery store, and I would get stuff for free all the time. I just loved it. I loved it. It was really fun. And so I would get so much that I'd have to give the stuff away. That was really fun. I would go to Kroger, and Kroger stopped doubling their coupons. And that's how I would get stuff for free, is because if something was $1 and I had a 50-cent coupon, they would double. Below 60 cents, they would double coupons. So I would get it for free. And it was such a high. I loved it. But it was a lot of work. cutting out coupons and doing the research and seeing what was on sale and seeing exactly what the coupon said because you had to read what the coupon said. But nowadays, there's not coupons anymore. You don't get them in the newspaper. It's just all digital stuff now. So those days are over. That was like a little hobby for me. In Sister Wives Go to Therapy, that podcast, she brought up another interesting point. She said that it's something to think about. Is Robyn pushing for the kids to go to public school? Was that so she wouldn't have to homeschool them or watch them or do anything with them? Because all the kids are going to public school now, whereas before Christine was homeschooling some of them. Is that one of the reasons why Robyn pushed for the kids to go to public schools? So that was very interesting. That's something to think about. And shows Robyn bringing all the kids home, and she says, take your shoes off by the door, take your coats off. She says, right now my contribution is being a mom, and that includes being the go-to girl for everybody, and then also being there to take care of the kids. And I think the original dynamics was Janelle was like the career father type, taking care of all the bills. Christine was the mother, taking care of all the kids. Meri was the original Robyn. You know, she worked just enough to take care of Leon, and that was kind of it because she was the legal wife. And then when Robyn came in, she threw a wrench in all of that. Meri says the advantage to us is we don't really have to pay for a babysitter. We have the built-in ones right here, and we don't have that extra money that needs to go to daycare. We buy 50-pound bags of flowers at a time. We buy oats by the bulk. Nell says we don't just buy one case, we buy 4 cases. Christine says we stock the food up in the storage room. Like I just realized that the other day we were out of sugar. I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm out of sugar. I haven't been out of sugar for months. You're kidding me. Janelle says Christine and I are working a lot together. She and I are putting our heads together. I'm like, well, how many cases should we buy? That's our conversation that we're constantly having. It isn't so much involving these other 2. And she's pointing to Meri and Robyn because their situations are different. So it's like we have community pantry. Everybody's free to take from it. And Meri says, yeah, I take from it all the time. In fact, I'm the one who took all the sugar. And is she sharing her budget for food? So Leon can go down there and eat, and she can go down there and steal sugar, but does she share any of her budget? If you look in the pantry, they have a food storage room, and Notes to Self said that one of the things with the polygamy and the Mormonism, that's you need to have 3 to 6 months worth of food in your house at all times because it's kind of like a doomsday prepper type teaching they have. If you look at the name brand on the food, it's Rainy Day Food, and they're still in business now. You can look it up and still get stuff from them, but they have all the staples: wheat, rice, beans, powdered milk. They've got everything in there that they would need for 3 to 6 months worth of food. And so it goes back over to Robyn's. It shows Isabel pouring some cereal into a bowl, and she goes, Isabel, this is a snack, not a meal. And she takes Isabel's bowl and she pours some of it back into the cereal bag, which kind of always irked people because if you look over just to the left, Peyton has a whole cereal bowl too, and he's just poured milk in it and he's fine with it. So why is she picking on Isabel? And if you look, she has made Brianna a sandwich with that fancy deli meat. I don't know why that bothers me so much, that fancy deli meat. You see all the kids eating and they've all got cereal, and Brianna has got that fancy deli meat. And Meri says, yeah, I took the last of the sugar and Christine didn't know about it. Does that mean that Meri walked through Christine's house without Christine knowing and took some of her sugar? Did she ask permission to walk through Christine's house? I don't think it works both ways. Meri doesn't like people walking through her house. She locks the door. They have to walk outside and walk around the house. Christine has to walk outside. Janelle has to walk outside if they're going to get to each other's houses. They're not allowed to walk through Meri's house. But Meri can walk through Christine's house and steal her sugar. Did you see that? Did you catch that? Christine had no idea that you were even there getting sugar. So it doesn't work both ways. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Robyn says, with the finances in my life and when I was on my own, I worked, I took care of my own money, I paid my own bills. I mean, it was just me. So coming in the family and not working, it was like this huge transition of going, Kody, I need to pay a bill. Do I just put the bill on the counter? How do you want to work this? So it was like a really big transition for me. So in Robyn's mind, there's this magic counter. And you can set your bills on there, all those credit card bills that she has that are coming due that creditors are calling her about. She wants to set them on the magic counter and they're going to get paid. Janelle said, I mean, there's no bones about it. I was very worried about the financial and I really did not see how the dollars and cents were going to work. I mean, we were struggling to keep the roof over our own heads. and we're going to bring in this person in and pay rent and groceries, and there's going to be no income coming in. I was very worried. If you look at Robyn's house, it looks very sparse. And I think that she was not that concerned about decorating it or getting it set up, because I really think that she had in her head that she wasn't going to be there long. She was going to talk Kody into moving to Vegas very soon. And so I think that's why there's not a lot of stuff going on in this house, because in January they moved to Vegas where her family is. So I think this was just a means to an end. Kody says the same time Robyn coming in months before we got married, she goes, I can't come in and be a burden to your family. And Janelle says, I'm hopeful that Robyn will get a job. She's been looking. It's not for a lack of looking. It's been very nice to have her at home, because Christine she really did kind of need to check out for a few months. Robyn's kind of held things together. Robyn says, there's days I'll have Janelle's kids coming over, and she comes over and picks them up and stuff. And I'm like, just in my mind, please help her to see that I have value with this family, with Christine as well. It's like there's days when I got her girls and she's taking a break, and I'm like, please let this be something that she sees the value of me. She says if we were to take Christine or Meri or Janelle or Kody out of their group, they would miss that person and they would mourn that loss. I want to get to that point where they go, Robyn's not here, and they miss me. And right now, if Robyn was out of the situation, it would be great, because then they wouldn't have that rent and her bills and all that stuff to pay. Goes to Janelle, and Janelle says, I like camping. I do. I used to camp a lot when I was younger, and now I kind of thinking it would be fun to have a trailer, because being older, it's harder to sleep on the ground. So she has been wanting an RV since here, and this is 2011. So when she bought that RV, I was like, oh, thank goodness she finally got what she wanted. And everybody else was like, why'd she buy that? Well, she's been wanting that for a while, and this shows you here that she's been wanting an RV for a while. She's always loved camping. There's this funny story she tells in the first book where she went out to the ranch, her mom and Kody's dad's ranch, and she lived in a tent for like all of maybe 2 days. And then she came back inside and she says, I can't do this. Like a teepee tent she lived in. It was pretty funny. And see, that's the thing, is like, they're so worried about Robyn and the expenses. And I've told y'all this before, but Robyn's wedding dress, all the expenses that went into her wedding, I'm wondering if they couldn't have saved some of that money. If they were this concerned about it, if Robyn could have not spent that much money and maybe saved some of that budgeted money to help pay her bills. Or if TLC said you have to spend this much money. I don't know how that worked. Or why didn't Robyn just move into the big house? Why didn't she move into Meri's crafting room, which we have seen the crafting room now, and it was huge. The Americana crafting room with all the American flag stuff in there. It is a big room. Robyn could have moved into that room, and her kids could have moved in with the other kids. It could have been done. They could have saved some money, but at the end of the day, all of this stuff about her wanting to work, her wanting to feel like that she's needed, it's all talk. She doesn't want to work. She didn't want to do anything, because she had no intention of doing any of this. That was not her end game. Kody's out there, and they're setting up the tent, and they've started a fire, and he says the fire is mesmerizing, and he says every relationship has its own independent power and its own independent bond. Janelle says, I think all of the children think their mother is the favorite. I really believe that. I've heard them all express it. When he's with me, I'm the center of his universe, and my children see that. And I believe that. I think Kody was, even in this last episode I watched on season 20, Meri says that he was very good individually with each wife. He was a good daddy before Robyn. It shows Meri, and she's in her Americana crafting room. It's a very large room. Robyn could have totally lived in there. Meri says it all works out really well for me, because I know I've got a really good balance to be able to have my job, and then I have plenty of time at home to spend with Mariah as well. The last few years I've been working, Janelle has been working, and Christine's been the one staying home, and she loves that. Sometimes I get a little bit envious, honestly, because I would love to be able to stay home more. And this tells you right here that she had it pretty good. She says it works out really well for her. I think she was really only working part-time. And she said she had plenty of time at home with her one child. So I think Janelle and Christine were the only ones that were working hard to maintain all those kids. I think Meri kind of was in her own little world. And it just doesn't seem fair that Christine watches all those kids. She homeschools the younger kids. She's got a part-time job and she's pregnant. But Meri has plenty of time in her Americana crafting room, and she gets a lot of time with her one child. Christine says, yeah, I'd rather be home rather than have to go out and work all the time. This works really, really well for me. And it shows Meri, and she's got this beautiful cat. That cat is just gorgeous. I took a picture of it for YouTube, but the cat's kind of playing around with her sewing stuff. And Janelle says, I totally admire people who can stay home, but I don't know how to be that person at home. Robyn says, so I'll stay at home, you work, you pay the bills, and I'll take care of the kids. And Christine's, yeah, I'd bring home the bacon, I'll fry it up in the pan. You can see the kids with Robyn, and she says, it's been really exciting. It's really fun to see them excited to see me and want a hug. It's a compliment to me. Savannah is hugging Robyn, and it shows McKelty hugging Robyn, and Isabel hugs Robyn, and they all really like Robyn right now. She says, when they respond to me, it's like the greatest reward. And then it shows Janelle, and she's coming home, and it's kind of late. It's really dark. And Gabe and Savannah meet her at the door, and they just hug her. Gabe and Savannah are the sweetest kids. She really does have the best kids. They are very sweet. She says, for me, I have this tremendous home life, but I still get to do what I want to do, so I'm getting the best of both worlds. Meri says, sometimes I think that Janelle is a better mom when she's working because she loves her career, her babies. When she does get home in the evenings after work, she's not too tired to spend time with her kids, and so that time with them she has is quality time. Janelle says, my contribution to the family is the money that makes my home life great, so I get to work and I do what I want, and then I have this great home life. They're back at the campsite, and Kody's wearing another state wrestling champ t-shirt, still living in his high school years there. He says, Janelle doesn't like PDA. I'm very comfortable with it, and he's kissing all over Janelle. So Janelle says, I had to learn how important PDA was to Kody. Kody says, she doesn't hug and kiss me. I don't believe she loves me. And Janelle says, yeah, I had to learn how to do that because when I married Kody, Meri was very affectionate and all over him. And so I just learned to sort of stand aside. So we had to learn how to balance that. That is true. That's in the first book. They said that Meri would just hang all over Kody. And finally, Janelle's mom told Kody that Meri needs to stop that because it was making Janelle very uncomfortable. She says at this point they've been married for 17 years, and she says only in the last couple of years did she realize how important PDA was for him. Janelle said last night was nice. The breeze made it chilly, but under the quilt we were warm. And Kody says she wanted to bring the quilt because she knew it'd be cold. It was cold. We used the quilt. Janelle says, yeah, there was no need to go and buy a sleeping bag for one trip. Kody's like, yeah, we had the quilt. We saved the money. She was right. He's like, did I say she was right? Meri says, okay, you got to say the next part. Kody says, okay, and I was wrong. And Kody says, it was really great for Janelle and I to get away, spend some time together, and know that everything at home would be taken care of. It's a good thing that everybody in the family has roles. They all pitch in. We're all able to help each other. There'll always be a team when it comes to making sure the family has their needs met. We do this together. And it shows all the kids outside jumping on the trampoline. Kody says, I'm wondering if you guys would like me to dump my career and all of you work and I stay home and I play Mr. Mom. I wonder how that would work. I'm just curious. Christine says you wouldn't last. It shows Kody holding truly. It's a sweet picture. But Kody talking about stopping his career and staying home and playing Mr. Mom. He can't even kiss Christine when she's changing the baby's diaper. How is he going to do that? He can't do it. He wouldn't be able to do it in a million years. Anyway, so that's the end of that episode. And so this is the part of the episode where I come up with my tell-all question. And my tell-all question would be for Kody. And today, right now, we're going to go camping. Just like you went camping with Janelle. We're going to have a blow-up mattress. You're going to have this quilt. We're going to eat hot dogs for dinner. Would he do that today? Do you think he would do that today? Do you think he would go and put together a tent and blow up a mattress and sleep with a quilt with Robyn and eat hot dogs? Do you think he would do that today? I don't think he would. I would think in this day and age that he probably would think he's too good for all that. He's not going to put together his own tent. He's not going to sleep with an old quilt. He's not going to have a hot dog dinner. He's not going to do any of that. He's too good for that now. So it really does kind of show you how he has changed and how his priorities have changed. Because here they're having fun. They're having a good time. He's really enjoying himself with Janelle. But if you were to ask him to do that today with Robyn, it would never happen in a million years. All right. So that's the end of that episode, and I appreciate y'all listening to me. I'll see you next time.
That's it for today.
If you like my podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to reach me, you can always reach me at redflagrewatch@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time. What is Forrest Gump's password? What is Forrest Gump's password? One, Forrest, one. One, Forrest, one. You're welcome. All right. See y'all next time.